I felt like I was like on top of a cliff, and I felt I really had like vertigos inside myself, but a very, very strong experience that I thought I'm going to be sick. And we talked a little bit about it after that, or a couple of days later. And she said, well, if you feel something like that, it might be because it's kind of something that really moves you or moves through you or is important to you. And so I thought, okay, maybe this is worth investigating. And so that was the beginning of working on a solo, for example.
Hello, my name is Eline Perez and you're listening to Are You an Artist? Today's episode is with Anne-Gaelle Thiriot, who speaks about making choreographies in the basement, performance and enthusiasm. Anne-Gaelle is indeed a super energetic artist, so if you want a boost, better than coffee, listen to today's wonderful guest.
I'm just going to try to not speak too fast.
You can speak fast.
Okay.
So we have more information.
Okay,
for
fine.
the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Cool.
Good.
Okay, I always start the episode by reading out a letter I've written. So I've written a letter for you. Dear Anne-Gaelle, I only met you yesterday, but as I told you, I heard a lot about you in London. You dance, you create, you teach dance and Feldenkrais, you improvise, and you seem to have so many projects and collaborations going on. Even though I know a little bit more about your journey today, I'm very curious about your interests and artistic desires. Thank you for welcoming me in your home in Marseille and for doing this interview after your long day. The first question I ask is, are you an artist?
Okay. Thank you for the question. And for the letter. Ooh, okay. It's funny. Do you mean an artist in the English sense of the term or in the French sense of the term?
Oh, what's the difference?
I've noticed, I really like the definitions that people have in the UK or in the Anglo-Saxon culture, because they are about the practice of whatever we do. And I consider dance being an art form. I don't know if I do any other art than dance, but I believe that I'm a dance artist.
Yeah, I felt like that's how people describe themselves, like dance artist, but not in France, right?
No, in France, to be an artist of dance, you will be a choreographer, or you will be at Maison des Artistes. You will be an author. There is this really the sense of authorship is a very important part of being an artist in France, and putting your imprint and not your brand is too much. It's saying too much to call it a brand, but I find that I know many artists here in France who don't consider themselves artists because of that, because they don't put their name on everything they do.
Okay.
And I think you don't need to know all your tools to be an artist. You need to engage with the art form or with the practice or with the experience, and then you can just say that you do that. So I don't know if I'm an artist, but I practice artistry in dance, in making, in watching, in dialoguing, in being in dialogue with people, with works, with audiences all the time.
And what's your first creative memory?
My first creative memory? Probably it was making choreographies on my own in the basement, on classical music and other mixes during the summer. So most of the time when I was, I don't remember exactly which age I was, but between 8 or 9 and 12 or something like that, then I started having love interests and stuff, and then I think it took a toll.
Distractions.
Distractions, terrible. I was really, for some reason, I was a bit of a geeky child already. And I was listening to the biography of musicians, so like classical musicians and things like that. And I was fascinated.
You were such a clever child.
A geek, a nerd. A sexy nerd, as Laura says. And for example, I loved the story of Berlioz, and they had terrible stories, composers of the 17th, 18th, 19th century. They had horrible, horrible stories. Somehow it kind of reassured me, about my life. I was like, okay, I'm not doing so bad. Life is all right. My sister is not too annoying. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed some things about the music, or mixing up like the text of the biography and the music, or a bit experimental, or making my own mixes and then dancing to it and creating my own moves. I think it was already quite experimental.
And were you going to dance classes at that time?
Yes, yeah, I was doing kind of very traditional things for kids my age. So I was going to ballet, and then I started when I was 10 or 11. I started doing tap and modern jazz. It was, like this once a week kind of thing, and I had loads of energy, and I was doing many things, so it was good for letting out energy. And I had fun with it, but it was, I wanted to be good, but I don't think I had a deep involvement with the form or anything. But I enjoyed going there, and I enjoyed doing the thing, and I enjoyed trying to be good, and doing the dancing.
Do you feel like you still have that energy now?
Well, usually my reports or my feedbacks on kind of anything is about my energy and my enthusiasm.
Yes, that's because that's exactly what I heard in London.
And even when I went to Laban, I was quite old at that time, or I went late to do a dance school. How old were you when I was 27.
Okay.
And I had never really looked back at my reports, from that year. And when I moved from the UK to France, I kind of had to do a bit of a clear out. And I found back the results, and I was like, okay. I thought I was kind of good at something, but when I was reading, the only thing I saw about the comments were about the enthusiasm and the energy. And I was like, okay, I didn't know that was the only thing I had. And I'm a bit joking, but it was a surprise. I didn't even realize that would be worth commenting on. But it's true.
So what did you want to do as a job as a child?
The first thing I wanted to do was écuyère. So in French, it's a dancer on a horse.
Wow.
At the circus. That's strange, because I was afraid of everything.
Oh.
I was afraid of heights. I was afraid of horses. I was okay with dancing, but I didn't like to go fast. So I think it's a bit surprising that I wanted to
go
do
beyond
that.
your fears already.
No, I probably like the image. I like the idea of becoming that.
Okay.
I don't think I intended to do it. But quite soon I wanted to be a researcher. And at the beginning, so after that phase, I imagined being like an archaeologist, and then I imagined being a biologist archaeologist, and then a submarine biologist archaeologist, and so on, kind of all becoming about having great sensations while working.
How?
Yeah, going underwater, searching for things. bringing them back up to the surface.
It's always stuff adding on top, right? It's like the dancing on horses, like it's the kind of researching submarine, and you keep adding some
accumulation.
Yeah.
Accumulation of detail. Yeah. Yes. How long did that last? A while. I'm not sure. I probably had some other fantasies or desires, but I don't remember really any of them right now. That's the main two things I remember. And I did study science. I did study biology and geology before I went more towards the body and dancing.
And do you feel still connected to that now?
Well, we had a bit of that conversation yesterday, right, with Lieselot. I know that I have a scientific mind, or I enjoy research about science. I like all things around biology, physiology, how animals work, how human animals work, from the very small to the very big. We have strange things, but what is fascinating is that we have incredible bodies, and also I have for a very long time I've worked. It's a bit strange to say in the field of disability. So I think I've encountered a huge variety of people from quite an early age, like from when I was 21 or 22. First of all, looking after autistic young people. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know much about being altered by someone else, because they work so differently from me, and the same for them, because I work so differently from them. And these encounters, I think they really shaped my life, because I entered the world, I hadn't made any plan on it. I just really fell in love with encountering someone else. And that was a bit more than 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, at the same time, just after I met dance, kind of the two became a bit related, I think.
And when did you start discovering improvisation and somatic work? And was it connected or not really?
Improvisation and somatic work? Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe. As I arrived in Paris, I was 19. And it was a bit of a strange time when I arrived, because I was meant to live with a friend, someone I knew from school for a long time, a good friend, and she died in a car accident during the summer.
Wow.
We were meant to go to the same university, different course, and somehow I think to recover from that, I both tried to be a really good student, because she was a brilliant student, and I think I felt I owed her to do well at my studies in geology at the time. And at the same time, I arrived at the university in Paris, and I became part of a dance group there. And for the first time, I did a lot of contemporary dance, which involved doing some technique, a bit like classical stuff, limon and things that I didn't know about at the time, a bit release and all of that, and creating things, improvising and then making things. And this I had not really done before.
Okay, so you started creating even before training in dance?
Yes. Well, after the choreography in the basement.
Yes, of course.
Then there was that. And still I haven't signed many works, really. I don't put my name on many things.
So you're not a French artist?
I'm not sure, Maybe I should be a British artist just for that. Or I should invent another nationality. Or who knows, a bit of time. But it was a big part for me to become part of a group. It was an important thing for me to become part of a group that was creating dance. And it was very, very new. I have no idea what I would think about what we did at the time.
Do you have any recording or no?
Recordings, no, but I've got some pictures at my parents'.
Okay.
And I think it was a big shift because it also, I was in a new city, big city in Paris. I was a little bit, I needed a bit of a container, I think.
Yes.
And I really fell into that with passion, and I was ready for it because I think I also wanted to dive into something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very special time also. The teacher was called Patricia Gatti, and she was teaching us. I think we paid around 20 euros for the year.
Wow.
Okay. A student union. That was it. And then we had, I think it was 3 or 4 hours for the choreographic class. And then there was another technical class of 2 hours. And then there was another one of 2 hours. So like you would get 7 or 8 hours of free class per week, basically free, right? Yeah. And I think this was instrumental in having access to a form of dance that I got to love and then to train in and pay for the training. Otherwise, yes. I would never put my money into something I don't know. And I think it was a really big thing. Quite a few people from that year actually ended up making some work in dance.
And are you still in touch with them?
Some.
Do you work with some of them?
Not really.
Okay.
No. I'm in touch with a couple of them. One just via Instagram. She sent me some pictures from that time, like a couple of years ago. I was like, whoa, okay, I look like that. Funny. And then the other person, I went to see him. We were really good friends at some point, and I went to see him perform in Marseille when I arrived.
Oh, wow.
That was funny.
That's beautiful.
He hasn't changed. Yeah. Well, I think there are many things that change from us, but there are some things that don't change. Yeah, that was funny. And coming back to France does a little bit of that, there's like some waves from the past are coming at me. I'm like, woo, okay.
And then how come you moved to Italy?
I was studying in Nanterre. I was then doing something a bit closer to the body, still not the dance studies. I was still very scared, I guess, of daring to do that. I was studying something, let's say, around movement education.
Okay.
In more like the sports university. And having to do with like movement education for special needs or like adapted activities. So I was already interested in the notion of alternatives. I think that's one thing that is constant, is looking at non-normative contexts or situations where the norm is a bit outdated. I really like that. And in Italy, I had that in my mind to go to Italy.
Okay.
I frequented people who were mainly from Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, Mediterranean, a little bit from Maghreb, but actually mostly from the south of Europe. And the winter in Paris that year was extremely bad. And I had one morning in the RER, which is this kind of commuter's train to the university, which was so bad that I thought to myself, I will not do another winter like that.
Oh, so
that was as profound as that.
But understandable.
And guess what? In Bologna, where I then lived, the winter was much colder.
Was it?
Yes, much, much colder at the time.
Than Paris, okay.
Than Paris, yeah. But much more fun.
So then, because the winter was too cold, you moved to London.
And then, because the winter was too cold, I wanted something a bit more humid but less freezing.
Okay.
I went to London. Okay. Exactly. So it's very simple, really, the way I decided to change or move. Yeah. And then I was like, it's actually too cold for me. Marseille is the place. I don't know where I'm going to go next, but there is a logic there.
But so you arrived in London to train in Laban. Eline from the montage, I speak about Laban as if everybody knew, but it is a dance school in London. It's where I did my dance training, and Anne-Gaelle too. back to the recording.
Yes. So I went to Italy basically on an Erasmus program,
Okay.
on a master's program for that kind of studies, like movement education for special needs. Some kind of arranged things, because administratively not everything was working. So,
In Italy?
yes.
I heard that it's very difficult.
Also, the partnership with my university was not exactly matching. So it really was a good excuse to go.
Okay.
But what was amazing is that through that partnership, or through the contacts from my tutors at the uni, I got in touch with an incredible center in Verona, so a bit north from Bologna, and I worked there for a couple of years.
Okay.
I went on placement there my first year, and then I started to work there, and for 2 years I worked full time, and then before that I did a bit of work. So it was also an important part of my life in Italy, because I lived there for 4 years. And I discovered the center maybe 7 or 8 months after I arrived. And it was a place where I worked with loads and loads of different people, for a medical center, a sports center, a rehabilitation center, a professional insertion center. All of those things were like mixed up, bringing very concrete proposals, activities, and physical activities or physical work to bring people together. And the place was a very inclusive place. For me, in my understanding, an example in what society should be like, really. And so I already had an interest in inclusive practice. Via this example, also I was working with a dance integrated company in Bologna. So at the time it was called Integrated, when you worked with disabled and non-disabled dance artists. But it was good, but I wanted to do more. But at the center I met some people I will never, never, never forget.
That you're still in touch with, or?
No, some of the people I was like doing sessions with or sessions for. And my colleagues, I stayed in touch a bit when I left, but then no, we hadn't that much of a bond.
People like that you could see like kind of bit long term, like you could follow and see how, like see them learn, grow, like change.
It's funny because I didn't work very much with children. I worked mostly with adults. So the notion of evolution and change
is different.
Is different, exactly. But yeah, I saw them for 1.5 years or 2 years.
Okay.
So I can clearly say that we got to establish a relationship, an actual bond, and to see some evolutions, because that's also what was interesting. With some people you see evolutions, with some people you also learn that evolution is just to see what's there today. And that is the kind of evolution to expect, to let go of the big curves, you know, up or down or whatever.
Yeah. And how was it then to go back to studying?
At L'Arben.
Yeah, to go back to kind of being in the classroom and...
Well, so when I was doing that job, basically it gave me money and time to go and study dance. So I was, for all my years in Italy, I was actually spending time doing instant composition, improvisation, following people like Kirstie Simpson, Lisa Nelson, who else? So many people.
So you were really already a lot also into the contact improvisation scene.
Contact improvisation, buto, other forms of improvisation, you know, like les Slovaques.
I don't know
that. There are a group of dancers and choreographers from Slovakia who have done quite a bit of work in Brussels.
Okay.
They've been based in Brussels. But yeah, basically choreographing via improvisation or following up the scene in Italy. I basically had fallen in love with the dance of an Israeli dancer that was dancing for Sasha Waltz at the time, like 2002, something like that. And she's called Michal Mualem.
Okay.
And when I arrived in Bologna, after a few months, I met this guy who said, "Oh, my girlfriend is coming to teach a workshop. You should come and show her. She's so beautiful. She's fantastic." I was like, "Great." And it was her.
Oh.
And that was also like a really nice thing. When I was in Italy, I basically just went on studying or doing things with people I liked, I loved, I had fallen upon and felt, wow, I need to learn that. And so with Michal and Gian Alberto, her partner, I followed them around. or basically, each time there was an opportunity, I really enjoyed learning a lot from them and doing their form of partnering that was very, very influenced by contact improvisation, but that was also very choreographed.
Okay.
And they encouraged me to go to London. They said, if you want to go further with where you are, you will need a bit of technical background because somehow it seems that it will do you good rather than trying to do it all on your own. And Gian Alberto had studied at the Place in London on a 1-year program, and he said, I think it's gonna boost you up. It's gonna really give you something.
Yeah.
So I applied. Me and another friend who was working often with them, we both applied. We both got it, and she decided to not go, and I decided to go.
Is that where you met Laura and Tanya? Montageline, I'm here speaking about Laura Dollar and Tanya Soubry. Tanya's episode is already out and Laura is a recording to do very soon, so stay tuned.
Laura and Tanya in London, yes, but not at Laban.
Okay.
No, we are the same age or very similar, but we're really not from the same year because I went to study really late to London, yes. So yeah, there was like in Italy, there was like two kind of influences. There was like all the improvisation, buto, way of looking at art from the process point of view, really. And then there was the shape of like liking to go to the theater and see impressive, big productions and trying to get a bit of a grip on what that was.
Okay. And so when you create something, how do ideas come to you? Is it from this like going to the theater and inspiration from these teachers, from also your research more? Yeah.
Putting my energy into actually it's different for me, like to make a performance or to make a work. So a performance, there are many things that can come in and out of it, or the context and many things. And I enjoy like making performances as practice. And I actually somehow really love that there is a bit of a context or there is a bit of a situation that kind of will help me bounce some ideas or create some relief in what I imagine as a performance. For example, we made a short thing with Laura a few years ago for an artist that I was working with who was doing an exhibition.
Okay.
He was doing an exhibition of his work, and then we created something in response to his work. And we had total freedom to imagine it the way we wanted. So we imagined like a parcours, a path inside or like among his works. And for me, that was a really simple process of like putting some of the ideas I had, some of the things I enjoyed, some weird ideas around using some contact because it's a strong strength that we both share with Laura, playing with situations that happened when discovering the work. So like trying to find some connections without having to do a representation of it. So the work of that artist, who's called Paul Westcombe, it's full of tubes, inside tubes. It's full
I wasn't
of
expecting
insides.
that. It's full of...
Yeah, it's full of insides. It's very, it's quirky. It's full of obsessions. And you see like, it looks almost like a comic strip. Like the kind of aesthetic is that. And at the same time, it's extremely rich in terms of imagery. If you look well, you will see many more details. And so we Yes, it was simple to make that happen, but I realized that I enjoy using imagery of biological things, animals or creatures. Or things that animals have, mandibles or fans or things that they nourish the way I work, and they somehow link to somatic imagery, I think. So for that, for example, to make something in response, things just bounced off really quickly. And because with Laura also we have a lot of experience of making things together, it was a question of trying to express a little bit my ideas to then try to shape them together as we went. And in the past, I think often it's because I get a strong physical experience of something. Or I get a particular experience that makes me think, oof, I need to kind of catch that.
Is it like a sensation? Or?
It depends. I made a solo some years ago, 10 years ago. That was called Vertigos. And it was around the shapes of the heart. And basically it was, it originated because I went to a class at ID, an independent dance, a class by Susanna Recchia, who was really working in dance from embodied imagery and embodied anatomy, sorry. And we worked on the heart on the Wednesday, and I had so much nausea.
Oh.
I felt like I was on top of a cliff, and I felt I really had vertigos inside myself, but a very, very strong experience that I thought I'm going to be sick. And we talked a little bit about it after that, or a couple of days later. And she said, well, if you feel something like that, it might be because it's kind of something that really moves you or moves through you or is important to you. And so I thought, okay, maybe this is worth investigating. And so that was the beginning of working on a solo, for example. What else? Recently, I get ideas that I have a vision or something, or there is a moment that I catch that I feel like this is great. And then I just see the end point. And I think, oh my God. How to go from that place, that small place that I'm holding.
Oh, so you see the end.
To that end point very far away that I would like to realize. And I'm not sure this will give shape to a work. To an imaginary work, yes, but it's very likely that even if I really do the work, on the way, I will find something very different from that vision. So I don't know.
And what's your favorite part of a creation?
I haven't toured many things, so I don't really know. Because at the moment, to be honest, I think I would be curious to make something that I will tour. And then I will discover what it is, or what it is more than what I've made, while touring. Because people receive it, because we rework, because different things happen. And for me, being in creation is something I have much more done as a performer or a collaborator than in my own name, let's say, for inviting other people into my process. So as a performer, I think I really, really love researching. But there is something about the premiere moment, which is very special. Yeah, it's very special. Even though you may get used to having people who come in to watch. I'm doing that more and more. Always asking for some eyes to come into the work so that you get another idea of actually what you're doing. But I think the moment of researching and starting to take a direction, it's a very, very fragile moment, but it's very beautiful. And I've always enjoyed being in process where we're researching, we go all directions. And just before a decision is made, I love the feeling. You felt you open a big, big, big field, and wow, And I think for a lot of people, this is a very scary place, an annoying place. But I love the feeling. It is hard then to make a decision to say no to all the options, to all the other options that maybe it's because it's too expensive to do that brilliant idea. Maybe it's because maybe you prefer that one, but, all these reasons. And then once the decision is made, you have mourned all these ideas that won't happen. Then you discover what's in there and you kind of like go like that a bit. Like a rabbit. And starting to put things into shape. For a premiere, often not everything is in shape, but it's kind of trying to be enough to see if the message is going through. It's like, and this is beautiful also. It's a great moment because then afterwards people might say, oh, yeah, it completely changed, but the feeling is the same. Or, you kind of actually often get an essential thing when you do a premiere. You will get a sense of whether this is working or not. Mm-hmm. Or you will understand whether what you felt is carried through. Mm-hmm. And maybe sometimes it's not and you need to work on it. Or maybe sometimes it's like, oh, you already don't feel the same anymore. But for me as a performer, I love the premiere, and often I have performed in my own work. So I love the moment of the premiere because I can serve the thing. I don't have to think about it anymore. I will kind of somehow for the first time, I will do an experience of it. And doing an experience is trying to create an experience for others. It's the first step to create an experience for others. And so it's a big buzz. And also it's very simple. The day after you go back to your thing, it's like... But yeah, I do like the way Belgian people do creativity. It's like you put all your energy into it, you do it, you work on it, you do it. Okay. Next thing. Done. And somehow I think it's because then, in my opinion, in my vision, this is pure projection for me, but there's something about just enjoying the process. And that it's not so much about the result. And I think it is tasty to put all your efforts into into one thing for it to get concrete. And then once it's concrete, you realize maybe it was not so much about that thing. But yeah, I like the work. Somehow. I always work on not working, but I like the work.
And what's the most important for you in your work?
In my work?
Yes.
You're asking me questions that are difficult.
I know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's great.
It's a proper workout.
Wow. It is a work, yeah. The most important thing in my work.
That comes to your mind now.
The first word that comes in is connecting. At the moment, one of the things I'm interested in is what I told you about before. I think encountering alterity is, I think, I don't know how it's important in my work or where it takes place or what it is to say that, but maybe there is a sense I would like for my work to create this little change that you're not exactly the same after. Ideally, I think I would like that. And it might not be a massive change. It might not be the revolution. It could be just a small seed going into another direction, but you don't know how long it's going to take, for things to change. The most important... Well, to touch people somewhere, in some way. For the fourth wall, the two ways to happen. I think for me, at the moment, At the moment, I find it important, and I don't always know how to do it because I'm still a contemporary dancer. Let's not forget. But I would like to manage to be both faithful to that and to touch, to like actually really encounter my peers and an audience on that level, which is like kinesthetic, emotional, like all the layers.
Yeah.
I don't really know. It's a difficult question.
But that's a great answer. I'm very satisfied.
Very good. Basically, the most important for me is to satisfy you.
Thank you. I also enjoy this one.
Good answer. Very good.
And is there like one creation that you are really proud of?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. Really proud of that I made?
Yes.
I can't say that I'm very proud of the things I made. I kind of had a projection some years ago that I will be proud of my work around 50 or 52.
Okay.
So maybe just give me a bit of time.
That's really good one. That is a really good one.
It takes time already to be proud of what we do in general. So be proud of your creations, you know. It's quite something. I'm proud of I'm proud of the energy I put into them. I'm proud of some of the results or some of the aesthetic that came from one or the other thing. But at the moment, I can't be proud of the whole. Maybe I'm a bit perfectionist. I would like to be proud of everything. The way the process was handled and the way it came about and, or the way the collaboration went and all of those things together. I can't say that I'm proud, but I'm still somehow very proud to have made this solo Vertigos because the way the collaboration came up with a lighting designer called Fay Patterson and with a scenographer who's a good friend of mine, both of them are a good friend of mine, Lavinia Cascone, they created something that was a bit beyond me, that I thought aesthetically created something very beautiful. But for it to really be something I'm proud of, it would have needed a third rework. And I never did it.
So we can put it out there in the imaginary.
In the imaginary, where many pieces are. It's getting a bit cluttered, I think, that place.
And what types of artworks interest you?
Great question. What types of artwork that I go to see or that I enjoy?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, when I was in London, I really loved going to the museums. Loved going to the museums.
Quite into also visual, like images and so.
Yeah, really.
Paintings, photography. I feel like you're so like even your books. You have a lot of books that are more like also with illustrations.
Yeah, I like images.
Yes,
book with
like
images.
Drawings and
Yes. Well, there were so many. I saw so many incredible exhibitions or so many incredible works in London. Going to the Hayward Gallery, going to the Tate Modern, going to National Portrait Gallery, to the Tate Britain, to the V&A, to there's so much. And what I enjoyed when I went to some of those exhibitions was getting a sense of the process of an artist, actually. I also enjoyed in Bristol, I think I went to see the work of, what's his name, who made The Descent of Man? Grayson Perry? Grayson Perry. One thing that's fascinating about the exhibition I went to see was the Rake's progress. You know, that's like a story that made an opera, among other things. It's like the story of ascent and descent of a man in society. Bit of a classical, 19th century story kind of thing. And
so you liked it from childhood?
Exactly. Something that reminded me of familiar stuff. And he made kind of contemporary tapestries.
And how was it exhibited?
One tapestry after another.
Wow.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, I think I don't do this, but I'm fascinated by this. I find that incredible. Like to put the energy into making something often quite big, and to know that the artwork is not just the thing that you've made, but it's the whole time that you've spent doing that. Wow, I think that's so inspiring. I loved also all the work that is around architecture. Like for some time there was Olafur Eliasson at the Tate Modern, and there was also his work like kind of annex of his workshop setup. So a lot of things around the processes also that they were working through. And Olafur Eliasson is a visual artist who does a lot of like constructions and plays with sensory elements. So you will get a whole, I'm not sure it was him, I think so, a whole wall made of moss.
Yeah.
And then you will get another work. And he works also a lot with light. You will get into a space with light, that the light has been designed, or mirrors have been designed in such a way to create a particular atmosphere. And he's passionate about landscapes. I relate to that. I don't know, for some reason, I find that great to see landscapes over and over again. I don't get bored. Yeah, I get it for jumping up and down with things, but works. What else? Here in Marseille, well, at the moment, I'm kind of going back to. I heard Kae Tempest a long time ago by chance with Laura.
So many people recommend this. And I've never...
They're a brilliant artist,
yeah,
yes.
I feel like...
And hearing them perform their poetry is beautiful.
Wow.
Really an incredible experience.
Well, that was recommended in one episode of the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I think they perform in Wilton's, apparently.
Well, good for you.
So, I mean, they did. So,
okay, they did.
Please come back.
And so I was I'm interested in text and writing at the moment, and I'm following the workshops of a poet from Marseille who is called Laura Vazquez, who is she writes incredible things, and she reads it in a way that really touches me. I haven't seen her live, so I only saw videos for the moment. But I'm finding very, very, very interesting both her reflections around writing, the way she goes about it, the way she considers also how the receiver of a poem or of any artwork will feel. You know, we feel because some things are put in place also so that we feel. And so at the moment, I'm interested in that. Whether it's to create a whole thing myself or to take part in create a whole thing, a whole artwork, I like to think about that. What will create the conditions for someone to feel something. And
nice.
Yeah, the way she has a writing that I find very nice, because I found difficult to relate to the French language in general.
Okay.
I find the English words much more poetic, and because I think I'm more complicated maybe in French than in English. I don't know.
I think French people are more complicated than
British in general. Yeah, maybe that's that. And so basically English simplifies me. And I enjoy that. Also makes me more physical, because the words, they stay in your mouth. They kind of take their way. When they come out, they pop out. All of those things that words do in English, they are so physical. They are characters.
Yes.
And in French, I don't think the words are characters. Or I feel they are characters that are a little bit more like that. And they really have their beauty. But I'm looking at the moment for a way to... I have found an honesty with my French writing, which is nice because but it's a bit raw, but it's nice because I find a place of honesty. And now I would like to keep that and feed it with like more, like deeper images or like more beautiful images, or let things arise. But to keep it simple, I think that's what is difficult. And it's the same with writing text or poetry than with making dance or making any piece of work.
Yes.
Is to have a form of sophistication, or like somewhere where you're like, wow, it's so nicely chiseled or made or
the
carved.
Layers and
yes, and you can see, wow, okay. And at the same time, it's simple.
It's clear.
And also it's simple in the sense that you don't need to have done all my things to get it, to relate to it, to be from the same culture. You don't need any of those things to be touched. You have many places to take it from. And recently I've seen a work that I love that is totally my cam. Totally my kind of thing. It's very funny because a lot of people hate it. It's the work by a choreographer who's called Dalila Belaza. I've seen 2 pieces of her that I've really enjoyed. One of them is called Au Coeur, and it's a collaboration between her, who dances like a solo in a group of traditional Auvergnat dancers.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are all dancers from traditional Auvergnat dance. And they are doing it like from one generation to the other. They're passing on the tradition of doing the traditional dance. They all have other jobs. And the whole thing is very cinematographic. The way the light arises, the way the sound comes in. The sound is too much, and it's completely decomposed. Like you get influences from the music of those dances mixed with like Gnawa music, mixed with other elements, and it's as if everything is mixing up.
It's like Marseille.
It's a bit like Marseille, even though she's not from Marseille, it gets on you. It's very physical as a piece. The sound is physical, the light is physical, it makes you pay attention to things. Almost nothing happens for a long time so you have to pay attention to see movement, and people get pissed off with it. And
I probably would.
Yes, maybe, yes.
It would be a bit too much, too intense, I think.
And I have to say, both times that I saw that, I was like, this is my kind of thing.
I'd be curious to experience it, though.
And I would really recommend that you see it, knowing that you might hate it.
Well,
you should go.
Let's go. And if you were an animal, what would you be?
I already know, because I've done that job already. Probably, I would be an otter.
A what?
Une loutre. An otter.
Okay, yeah.
Well, otters are both very social, like to have fun, like to also be left in peace. Some people say they are cruel, but I don't really know any otter who's very cruel. But I like this animal. It's both from the water and from the earth. It's both from the sea and from, how do you say that, eau douce, soft waters.
Not salty water.
Yeah, and unsalted waters. They're very interesting, otters. They are animals that not many people pay attention to, but are extremely nourishing. They are a symbol of nourishment, I think. And they will probably nourish themselves with anything. And they have this kind of long spines, and they're at ease.
Yeah.
Diving, sliding. They kind of, when you see an otter move, you kind of feel also like they have understood something important about life. which has mostly to do with pleasure. And I think that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, otters are brilliant. Apparently, they can be very cruel.
Well,
maybe that goes together.
Human beings too, so.
Yeah, I don't know that about myself, but who knows?
And do you have a favorite color?
Yes. So, where is it? It's basically between the turquoise blue and green blue. I don't know if it's got a name. I can show you. It's there.
I think it's bleu canard, I think they call it.
Maybe, yes. Duck blue.
Duck blue.
How beautiful.
It doesn't look like the color of a duck, though.
No. But les canards col vert. They have this kind of color, I think. So
it's beautiful, blue.
It is. It has been my favorite color for a while, I think.
Okay.
I like it matched with orange, for example. I think that's really great. And unlikely, but really great. And for some reason, every time I see that color, I always say, oh, that's nice. So it's probably my favorite color. But I enjoy lots of different things. But that's probably my favorite.
And do you feel like you know yourself very well now?
Very well. Better than before. That's for sure. Well, I know myself well enough, probably, in some ways. I don't want to spend too much time on myself. And at the same time, I need to do a bit of work for sometimes I need to do a bit of work.
Just enough.
Just enough, yeah. And I hope I will discover more things. Last year, thinking about doing a creation that would be more like in my personal life. And it didn't happen the way I imagined. Apparently, it's the same for every creation. I realized that I was a very anxious person.
Ooh, you realized that last year?
Yeah, I remembered myself as a child being very anxious, but I had kind of forgotten that part of me. I really shoved it
under the sofa,
down under many, many, many layers of things. Put a lot of enthusiasm on top of it, and it was all really good. And all of a sudden, I was like, this was one of the things I thought was really difficult to deal with in creation. Okay, and now that I was imagining trying to become a parent and things not working the way I wanted, I realized, that's making me feel really anxious. That reminds me of some stuff. And so I think probably this year it's one of the things I've realized the most, or that I'm trying the most to accept or make part of me. And I don't want it to take all the place, but I need to give it some room to be. So that it doesn't bother me all the time or when I don't want it.
Maybe that's why you're so physical.
Maybe.
Like you need to put it out.
I don't know.
To move it out.
To move it out. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the young people that I've worked with or young adults that I've worked with over the years had autistic behaviors. And I'm really not somebody with autistic behavior. But when I'm anxious, I do exactly the same thing as those young people. Exactly the same thing. I look for something familiar that I know absolutely by heart, that has zero surprise in it, that will not disturb, anything. My peace of mind, or that will bring it back to me by being something so expected that I will be able to kind of put back my myself together again. And so I have a lot of empathy for that, and I've realized, I need to have it also for me. To recognize where I am also like that. And therefore, if somebody gives me support with that, it's nice also.
It's a
not always one way around.
It's a call out to people.
Yeah, it's a call out. Bring me some round schedules with things repetitive that feel good.
Okay.
That would be great.
Great. And last question, do you have any coming projects? So I think this episode will be published in April, like maybe beginning or mid-April.
April 2024?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not.
Okay. So you can say things and I can beep if you're not. Like, I can check it with you towards the time. And...
Okay, yes. So right now in Marseille, I am working on one project that is a collective project, but that we initiated with the company association that I co-created here, La Mèche. And the project is called Mobile, and we're a group of 9 dancers, choreographers, 9 dance artists that are trying to do the whole thing together. So like doing the music, doing the costumes, doing the choreography. And its aim is for it to be something for outdoors, for public spaces, and to have like short different modules that have a different way of dealing with an audience or public passers-by. So that's one thing that we're going to develop. We have a residency next week about that. It's our last full week residency. So we have a sharing at the end where we're trying to make a film. It's both a process and a production at the same time, because we don't have a lot of time to be all together. So we're trying to pack a lot of things into it. And it's exciting because I think in that group, we are best when we practice together. This is the strong thing that we manage to communicate with. When we speak too much or when we are in these other places, it's more difficult to understand each other. But when they are in the middle of it, doing the thing, we understand each other. So we're in a good place for that. It's satisfying, yes, very. We decided that it was most important that we are satisfied also when we do it, because we are currently not making any money with it. And so it's important that somehow everyone taking part into this feels that they are learning, engaging, that something is happening for them from inside. And we still want to make something interesting to watch, so or to be part of. So that's one thing. And then I'm going to work with Mathilde Monfreux, who is a choreographer based in Marseille. The company is 15 years this year. And I've been in her work since 2019. We've been touring finishing and touring a piece that is like a choreographic exhibition, and it's called Caring Banquise. Caring Banquise. It's a work that is very multi-layered, that has to do with figures, contact figures, that are 2 people together, and you can multiply usually what 2 people are doing by an infinite number of people. And
it's math.
The whole thing is like people slotting themselves into each other in some way, finding, the nooks and crannies of each other with different body parts. Every single figure has got a history, a fictional and a real history, and we mix all of those things. And then we create instant choreographies between the figures. It's also part of it. There are many, many things that we are doing with it. It has to do with activism of tenderness. It has to do with care. It has to do with the relationship to an audience not being a frontal relationship. So how do you create an experience? And now we are going to do a new work, which is around contact improvisation. And it's called Mouvementement at the moment. And we start in May.
Sweet.
So it's new. I'm going to work on Fear, that will be directed by Annie Puininloc and Juan Ayala in London. So this is the thing that I don't know. If we should
so that might just be like a beep.
So that means I'll be in London in June to work on that with around 50 people, hopefully. With Mathilde again, we are doing a creation for an island in Normandy for 40 people. So I'm doing a lot of things with a lot of people. So I'm starting to think maybe I should work on a solo or something on the side when I get time, just to kind of contrast that a bit.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for this hour together.
Yes, thank you, Eileen.
Super sweet.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a 5 stars on your favorite platform. It really supports me, and then I can interview all the artists of the world until I die. Merci!